Some dreams seem out of reach, like far-off lands you'll never touch. But, for me, South Korea was more than a dream. It was a vow, a place where tales spring to life, where love feels tangible, and where I felt a deep bond. I didn't just adore the dramas, I fell for a world I'd never visited but always sensed. Now, I was finally here. I came seeking stories, never expecting to become part of one. Standing here, I realized this isn't merely a trip. It's the start of my own tale. Amara had always cherished South Korea, long before she arrived. She felt an unspoken tie to the nation. She loved it all: the cuisine, the music, the traditions, and above all, the K-dramas. On dreary afternoons, K-dramas were her refuge. She'd lose herself for hours in their poignant narratives, watching beloved characters fall in love, confront trials, and uncover their true selves. Whether it was the charismatic leads, heartfelt plots, or breathtaking settings, K-dramas whisked Amara to a realm where every instant sparkled with magic. Through them, she learned basic Korean words like "Annayo, hello, gamsa esa, thank you," and "sarang as I love you." The joy of grasping these phrases in context thrilled her, and she yearned to hear them spoken in person. For years, she pictured herself strolling Seoul's lively streets, savoring tteokbokki from a vendor, and exploring enchanting spots like Namsan Tower and Jeju Island. When she secured a 2-year study exchange in Seoul, it felt like her dream was at last becoming reality. Amara's friends and family in Nigeria were both excited and nervous for her. They all gave her advice, but her mom's words stood out. As she hugged Amara tightly at the airport, she said, "Stay true to yourself, my dear, but don't let anyone treat you unfairly." When Amara arrived in Seoul, her host family welcomed her warmly. Mr. and Mrs. Kim were kind and always smiling, but their son, Ji-ho, was different. He barely looked at her when they introduced her and spent most of his time in his room. Ji-ho was tall, with dark hair that fell perfectly into place and deep, piercing eyes. He had the kind of presence that made everyone notice him without him even trying. But his cold attitude made it clear he didn't want to be friends. Amara didn't let this bother her. She was determined to make the most of her time in South Korea. On her first day of school, she walked confidently into the classroom, her curly hair bouncing with every step. But soon, she realized things weren't going to be easy. The other students whispered about her, stealing curious glances but keeping their distance. She could tell they weren't used to seeing someone like her. Ji-ho, on the other hand, was the center of attention everywhere he went. The girls followed him with their eyes, giggling and whispering. The boys either envied him or tried to be like him. Amara felt like a shadow in comparison. Still, she refused to let it get to her. After school, she explored the city, taking in the sights, sounds, and smells of Seoul. The bright signs, bustling streets, and the smell of freshly cooked Korean barbecue made her heart race with excitement. Even though school was tough, the city gave her hope. But everything changed one evening after dinner. Amara decided to take a walk by the Han River. The water sparkled under the city lights, and the cool breeze felt refreshing. Lost in thought, she didn't notice someone following her until she heard a voice behind her. "You shouldn't be out here alone." Startled, Amara turned around and saw Ji-ho standing there. His hands were in his pockets, and his expression was serious, but there was a softness in his eyes she hadn't seen before. "I didn't think you cared," she said cautiously. "I don't," he replied with a shrug, "but you're staying in my house, so I guess I have to." For a moment they stood in silence. It wasn't awkward, though. It felt peaceful. Slowly, Ji-ho started to open up. He told her about his love for motorbikes, his struggles with school, and how everyone expected him to be perfect. Amara listened carefully, surprised by how different he sounded from the boy who ignored her at school. Over the next few weeks, things began to change at home. Ji-ho started talking to her more. He even walked with her to school sometimes, though he never explained why. At school, he still acted distant, but there were small moments, like when their eyes met in the hallway or when he passed her a note during class, that made her heart skip a beat. but their growing closeness didn't go unnoticed. Ji-ho's ex-girlfriend, Sue Jin, the most popular girl in school, was used to getting what she wanted. She wasn't happy about Amara being around Ji-ho. One afternoon, Sue Jin cornered Amara in the hallway. "You think you can just take him from me?" "Sue," Jin said sharply. "Just because you're different doesn't mean he'll choose you." Amara's hands shook, but she stood her ground. "Maybe it's not about choosing. Maybe he's not yours to own." Sue Jin's glare was icy, and from that day forward, she and her friends made it their mission to make Amara's life miserable. They whispered behind her back, bumped into her in the hallway, and laughed loudly whenever she walked by. What hurt the most, though, was Ji-ho's silence. He never stepped in or defended her. At home, he was kind and even sweet sometimes, but at school he acted like she didn't exist. One day, their teacher announced a field trip to the beach. While the other students were excited, Amara felt nervous. The idea of spending an entire day surrounded by people who didn't like her was exhausting. On the day of the trip, she found an empty seat at the back of the bus, hoping to stay out of sight. "Can I sit with you?" a voice asked. Amara looked up and saw a girl with short, colorful hair smiling at her. "Sure," she said, grateful for the company. "I'm Hana," the girl said as she sat down. "I've never met anyone from Nigeria before." "Your hair is so beautiful." Amara smiled. "Thank you. I'm Amara." For the first time in weeks, Amara felt at ease. Hana was funny and full of questions about Nigeria. They talked about food, music, and movies. Amara told her about jollof rice and how she missed eating puff puff. Hana shared her favorite K-pop bands and her dream of visiting Africa someday. As the afternoon went on, Amara tried to focus on enjoying the beach with Hana. They took selfies, dipped their feet in the cool water, and shared stories about their homes, laughing together. But no matter how hard she tried to immerse herself in the moment, her eyes kept drifting toward Ji-ho. He was laughing with Sue Jin and her friends, completely at ease. Hana noticed her quietness and nudged her. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine," Amara said, forcing a smile. But the truth was, she wasn't fine. She didn't understand Ji-ho. One moment, he was kind and caring. The next, he was cold and distant. It was exhausting, and Amara didn't know how much more she could take. As the sun set, the students began packing up to leave. Amara was relieved the day was almost over. She took her seat on the bus next to Hana, ready for the long ride home. But just as the bus was about to leave, Ji-ho walked down the aisle. "Hana, switch seats with me," he said. Hana looked surprised but didn't argue. She grabbed her things and moved to another seat. Amara's heart raced as Ji-ho sat down next to her. For a while, neither of them said anything. The tension between them was thick, and Amara could feel Sue Jin's glare from the front of the bus. "Why did you sit here?" Amara finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Ji-ho smirked. "Why not?" Amara frowned. "You've been ignoring me all day." "I've been busy," he said. "With Sue Jin," she blurted out before she could stop herself. Ji-ho's smirk faded, and he leaned in closer. "Are you jealous?" Amara's face grew hot. She didn't know what to say. Before she could respond, Ji-ho leaned back, put on his headphones, and closed his eyes, leaving her with more questions than answers. The bus ride back to the city felt like the longest ride of Amara's life. Ji-ho sat quietly beside her, headphones on and eyes closed, but she could tell he wasn't asleep. She glanced at him from time to time, her mind racing with everything that had happened. Why did he choose to sit with her? Was he just messing with her, or did it mean something? She couldn't stop overthinking. When they got back to the school, Amara quickly gathered her things and walked off the bus without waiting for anyone. She could feel Sue Jin's eyes on her and didn't want to give her any more reasons to talk about her. When Amara got home, she headed straight to her room, trying to avoid Ji-ho. After everything that had happened on the bus, the tension from earlier still weighed heavily on her. She needed space to process everything, especially the unspoken moments between them. But as luck would have it, Ji Ho was already waiting for her in the living room. He leaned casually against the arm of the sofa, his expression unreadable. The stillness of the room amplified the unease she felt. "You ran off in a hurry," he said, his tone neutral. Amara didn't stop walking. "I was tired," she replied shortly. "From what?" "Sitting." He teased, though there was a hint of something else in his voice, almost as if he wanted her to stay and talk. She ignored him and went to her room, closing the door firmly behind her. Later that night, Amara couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned, thinking about everything. Jin's angry glares, Hana's kind words, and Ho's confusing behavior. She didn't understand him at all. One moment, he acted like he cared. The next, he treated her like she didn't exist. It was driving her crazy. She decided to distract herself by studying. But when she opened her bag, she noticed one of her notebooks was missing. The last time she remembered having it was on the bus, in Ho's seat. Amara sighed and got out of bed. Maybe he had picked it up. She tiptoed down the hallway toward Ho's room, hoping he was asleep. She knocked softly but got no response. Taking a deep breath, she slowly pushed the door open. "Ho," she whispered, peeking inside. The room was dimly lit by a small desk lamp. He was lying on his bed, staring at the ceiling, deep in thought. Without turning his head, he spoke, "Looking for this." He held up her notebook, waving it slightly. Amara froze. "You knew I left it." He finally looked at her, a small smirk on his face. "You're not very good at hiding your thoughts. I knew you'd come back for it." She stepped into the room, her heart racing. "Can I have it back?" "Come and get it," he said, holding the notebook just out of her reach. Amara narrowed her eyes. "Ho, I'm not playing games." "Neither am I," he replied, sitting up and handing her the notebook. But as she reached for it, his hand brushed against hers, and for a moment, everything froze. The air between them felt heavy, as though something unspoken hung in the balance. They looked at each other, neither saying a word. Finally, Amara broke the silence. "Why do you do this?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "One minute, you act like you care. The next, you treat me like I'm nothing. What do you want from me?" Ho's smirk faded. His expression softened, and for a second, it seemed like he wanted to say something, but he stopped himself. "Good night, Amara," he said quietly, lying back down and turning away. Frustrated, Amara grabbed her notebook and left the room. She didn't know what to make of him anymore. She wanted to hate him for the way he made her feel, but every time she tried, she remembered those small moments when he let his guard down. Those moments made her heart ache, and she hated herself for it. The next day at school, Jin was worse than ever. During lunch, she and her friends cornered Amara in the hallway. "You must really think you're something special," Jin said, crossing her arms. Her voice was sharp, and her group of friends stood behind her, smirking. "Ho only talks to you because he feels sorry for you. You're nothing to him." Amara clenched her fists, holding back her anger. "If I'm nothing, why are you so worried about me?" she shot back, her voice steady. Jin's eyes narrowed as she stepped closer. "Watch yourself, Amara. You don't belong here." The girls laughed as they walked away, leaving Amara standing there, her heart pounding with frustration. Tears stung her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She wouldn't give Jin the satisfaction. Out of the corner of her eye, Amara noticed Ho standing nearby. He had seen everything but didn't say a word. He just stood there, his face unreadable. Her chest tightened as their eyes met for a brief moment before he turned and walked away. Amara's hands trembled. Why didn't he defend her? He had seen how Jin's words cut like a knife. Was he afraid of Jin, or did he just not care? That night, Amara sat on her bed, staring out the window at the Seoul skyline, replaying the day's events in her mind. She couldn't stop asking herself the same question. Why does Ho always make me feel so small and so important at the same time? Her anger simmered as she paced her room. Before she could stop herself, she stormed down the hallway and shoved Ho's door open. He was sitting at his desk, headphones on, scrolling through his phone. He looked up, startled. "Amara, what are you?" "Why didn't you say anything?" she interrupted, her voice shaking. Ho frowned, pulling off his headphones. "What are you talking about?" "At school today," she said louder, her hands clenched. "You saw how Jin treated me, and you just stood there. Why didn't you do anything?" Ho leaned back in his chair, his face calm. "It wasn't my fight," he said simply. Amara's mouth fell open. "Not your fight," she repeated, her voice rising. "You know how hard it's been for me here. How could you just let them treat me like I'm nothing?" Ho looked away, his jaw tightening. "I didn't ask you to get involved with me," he said quietly. "You're making this bigger than it is." Amara's voice trembled. "You act like you care when it's convenient, but when I really need you, you're nowhere to be found. Why should I keep believing you?" Ho stood, towering over her. "You don't understand Amara," he said, his voice low. Jin isn't just some girl. She can ruin people. It's not as simple as you think." Amara shook her head. "So you'd rather stay quiet than take a risk? I thought you were different, Ho, but I guess I was wrong." She turned and walked out, slamming the door. Back in her room, she let the tears fall. The weight of Jin's bullying and Ho's silence felt unbearable. Later, there was a soft knock at Amara's door. She opened it to find Ho standing there, his face serious. "If Jin or her friends bother you again," he said quietly, "tell me." Amara looked at him, surprised. "Why now?" Ho sighed. "'Cause I should have done something today. I won't let it happen again." With that, he walked away, leaving Amara standing there, her heart heavy but slightly lighter. Later that evening, Amara lay in bed, Ho's words from earlier echoing in her head. Let me know if they ever tease you again." Could he really mean it? Would he finally stand up for her? The thought left her feeling hopeful for the first time in weeks. The next morning, during PE, Amara sat on the bleachers with Hana, watching the basketball game. Her eyes kept drifting to Ho, who played with effortless skill, his every move commanding attention. Hana smirked and nudged her. "You're staring," she teased. Amara flushed. "I'm just watching the game." "Sure you are." Hana replied knowingly. "You've been watching him the whole time." Before Amara could respond, Jin, across the court, caught her staring at Ho. With a glare, she grabbed a basketball and hurled it straight at Amara. Without warning, Amara froze, but before it could hit her, Ho appeared out of nowhere, catching it inches from her face. "You okay?" he asked, his voice calm but firm. Amara nodded, her heart pounding. Ho turned to Jin, his eyes cold. "Stop picking on her. You're embarrassing yourself." The court fell silent as Jin flushed with anger and stormed off. Ho glanced back at Amara, his voice softer now. "Let me know if she bothers you again," he said before jogging back to the game. Amara's heart raced. He had stood up for her. When school ended, Ho turned to Amara. "Let's head home," he said, his tone unusually soft. As they walked, Amara stole glances at him, trying to read his expression. His face was calm but gave nothing away. She couldn't help but think about how kind Ho had been earlier. When they got home, Mr. and Mrs. Kim greeted them warmly, their faces glowing with excitement. Mr. Kim had received a promotion at work, and the family decided to celebrate with a special dinner. "We're so proud of your father," Mrs. Kim said brightly as they all sat down to eat. The table was covered with delicious dishes, grilled meats, steamed rice, colorful side dishes, and a comforting soup. The atmosphere was lively, filled with laughter and cheerful conversation. For a moment, Amara felt like she was part of a family again. Even Ho seemed more relaxed, joking with his parents and occasionally glancing at her. The earlier tension between them seemed to fade. "Make sure you eat a lot tonight, Amara," Mrs. Kim said with a wink. "We're celebrating." Amara smiled, feeling truly at ease for the first time in days. Later that evening, Amara was FaceTiming her mom back in Nigeria. "Make sure you're focusing on school," her mom said gently, her voice warm and familiar. Yes, Mom, I am, Amara assured her before hearing a soft knock at her door. She ended the call and opened the door to find Ji-ho standing there. Come with me, he said simply. Where? Amara asked, surprised. Just trust me, he replied, a small smile on his face. Reluctantly, she followed him. They boarded a bus together, the ride filled with quietness. Amara's mind raced with questions, but she stayed silent, watching Ji-ho's calm expression. When they arrived, her eyes widened in disbelief. They were at a New Jeans concert. How? How did you? She stammered, completely stunned. Ji-ho smirked, his eyes twinkling with amusement. I got us tickets. I figured you'd want to go. Amara's heart swelled with excitement as they entered the venue. The vibrant lights and the sound of cheering fans made all her earlier frustrations disappear. She had the time of her life, singing along to her favorite songs. The night became even more unforgettable when Ji-ho surprised her with backstage passes. Meeting the band members left her grinning from ear to ear. After the concert, Amara and Ji-ho sat by the window in a small convenience store, enjoying late-night ramen. The city lights sparkled outside as Amara slurped her noodles, feeling warmth spread through her. She glanced at Ji-ho, and for the first time in days, the tension between them faded. It felt peaceful, just the two of them sharing this quiet moment. Thanks for tonight, she said softly. I didn't expect you to do something like this. Ji-ho shrugged, a small smile on his lips. It wasn't a big deal. As they left the store and started walking home, something magical happened. Snowflakes began to fall from the sky. Amara gasped, her eyes wide with wonder. Is this snow? She asked, her voice filled with excitement. She held out her hands, watching the flakes land and melt on her palms. Ji-ho smiled, watching her reaction. It's the first snow of the year, he said. It's special. Amara's face lit up with joy. There's no snow in Nigeria, she said, spinning around to catch the flakes on her face. This is amazing! She bent down, scooped some snow into her hands, and threw it at Ji-ho. He dodged it, laughing, before scooping up his own snow to throw back at her. Soon, they were running through the street, having a playful snowball fight. Their laughter echoed through the quiet night as snow flew in every direction. Amara's cheeks turned rosy, and her curls were dusted with tiny flakes. For the first time in a long while, she felt completely carefree. At one point, Amara slipped on the icy pavement. Ji-ho moved quickly, catching her before she could fall. His arm steadied her, and they stood there for a moment, both out of breath. Her hands rested lightly on his chest. Careful, he said softly, his voice full of concern. Amara looked up at him, their faces inches apart. Her heart raced, not because of the fall, but because of the way he was looking at her, like she was the only person that mattered. Thanks, she whispered, stepping back quickly, her cheeks burning with embarrassment. Ji-ho smirked, brushing snow off his jacket. Let's get you home before you freeze. They continued walking, the snow falling gently around them like a curtain. Amara couldn't stop smiling. The night had been perfect, and she knew it was one she would remember forever. The next day at school, a buzz of excitement filled the air as the prom announcement spread. Amara felt both excited and nervous. She couldn't help but wonder, would Ji-ho go to prom? And if he did, would he ask her? Later, as she stood at her locker, she saw Ji-ho walking by. Taking a deep breath, she gathered the courage to speak. Hey, are you going to prom? She asked. Ji-ho shrugged. Not really my thing. Amara tried to hide her disappointment. Oh, okay. Ji-ho paused and looked at her. Do you want to go? Amara was surprised. Yeah, I think it could be fun. Ji-ho smiled slightly. I'll think about it, he said, walking away, leaving Amara wondering what he meant. The weekend before prom, Amara and Hana decided to make it special by going dress shopping together. As they sifted through racks of elegant gowns, Hana turned to Amara with a spark of excitement in her eyes. Let's meet at my place beforehand, Hana suggested. We can get ready together. Hair, makeup, the whole thing. Amara's face lit up with a warm smile. That sounds perfect. It'll make the night even more memorable. On prom night, the venue sparkled with lights, creating a magical atmosphere. Amara stepped into the room, radiant in her shimmering blue gown, her heart racing as she searched the crowd. Her eyes found Ji-ho, looking effortlessly handsome in a sleek black suit. As their gazes locked, he made his way toward her, his expression calm yet intense. The moment felt charged with something unspoken between them. "You look beautiful," he said. "Thanks. You look great too," Amara replied, her cheeks warming. "Dance with me," he asked, extending his hand. Amara hesitated but placed her hand in his. As they swayed to the music, it felt like the world around them faded away. But from the corner of her eye, Amara noticed Soo Jin watching, her expression smug. Later, the principal announced the prom king and queen Ji-ho and Soo Jin. Amara's heart dropped as she watched Soo Jin flash a bright smile while Ji-ho stood beside her. The moment felt surreal to Amara, her hopes fading as she tried to hold back her disappointment. When the king and queen's dance was announced, Amara's heart sank. Unable to endure the sight, she turned and rushed outside. Amara leaned against the wall, trying to catch her breath. Tears pricked her eyes as she replayed the moment. She didn't hear Hana's footsteps until her friend spoke. "Amara, are you okay?" Amara quickly wiped at her face. "I'm fine." Hana frowned, stepping closer.
"No, you're not. What happened?"
Amara hesitated, then sighed. "It's Ji-ho and Soo Jin." Hana's eyes softened. "Don't let Soo Jin get to you. She loves showing off, but you shouldn't let her ruin your night." Amara sniffled. It just hurt seeing them together. Hana wrapped an arm around her shoulder. "Come on, you're stronger than this. Let's go back inside. We'll dance, have fun, and forget about them." Amara smiled weakly, her heart feeling a bit lighter with Hana's support. She took a deep breath and followed her friend back inside, determined to make the night hers again. Back at the party, Hana led Amara straight to the dance floor. "Forget Ji-ho and Soo Jin," Hana said with a determined smile. "Tonight is about having fun." Amara hesitated but let herself be pulled into the music. As they danced, laughter bubbled up, and for a moment, the weight on her chest lifted. Hana's energy was contagious, and soon, Amara was smiling, the sparkle returning to her eyes. From across the room, Ji-ho watched her. His expression softened as he saw her laughing with Hana, but he stayed where he was, torn between approaching her and giving her space. Soo Jin tried to pull his attention back to their table, but Ji-ho's eyes remained on Amara. As the night went on, Amara did just that, owning the moment and letting herself enjoy every second, proving to herself that she was stronger than she thought. A week later, Ji-woo, one of their classmates, announced a pool party and invited everyone. Hana made sure Amara was included. "You're coming, right?" Hana asked, her eyes bright with excitement. "I'm not sure." Amara hesitated. She had never been to a pool party before. "Amara, you have to come," Hana said, practically bouncing with enthusiasm. "After all those exams, you deserve to have some fun." Amara smiled shyly but nodded. "All right, I'll go." The party was lively with laughter and splashing everywhere. Hana grabbed Amara's hand near the pool. "Let's swim." Amara shook her head. "I don't know how to swim." Hana smiled. "No problem, just dip your feet in." Nearby, Soo Jin overheard and smirked. As Hana turned to get a drink, Soo Jin saw her chance. She walked past Amara and shoved her into the pool. Amara hit the water, panic setting in as she struggled to stay afloat. Gas filled the air, and just as Amara felt like she was sinking, Ji-ho dove in without hesitation. He reached her quickly, pulling her to the surface. "I've got you," Ji-ho said, his voice calm and steady. He helped her to the edge, where Hana and others pulled her out. Ji-ho climbed out after her, soaking wet, and glared at Soo Jin. "What is wrong with you?" he snapped. Soo Jin shrugged, pretending it was an accident, but Ji-ho wasn't buying it. "Don't ever do that again." "Ji-ho," Amara said softly, her voice weak. "It's okay." "No, it's not," he replied, his tone gentler now. "You could have been hurt." Hana wrapped a towel around Amara. Let's get you home, she said. As Ji-ho watched them leave, something shifted in him. For the first time in weeks, he realized just how much he still cared. The pool party stayed in Amara's mind, especially how Ji-ho saved her. She couldn't forget the way he jumped in without hesitation. But since that night, he hadn't spoken to her, leaving her confused and full of questions. Still, she missed the quiet, fun, and kind moments they had shared. One evening, heavy rain poured as Amara left the library. Without an umbrella and tired of waiting, she hugged her books and stepped into the downpour. Cold and soaked, she shivered but kept walking, determined to get home before it got too late. Suddenly, she felt someone close behind her. The rain stopped hitting her, and she realized someone was holding an umbrella over her. Amara, a familiar voice said softly. She turned to see Ji-ho standing there, holding the umbrella above them. His face was calm, but his eyes were warm. "You'll get sick walking like this," he said. "Why are you here?" she asked, surprised. "I saw you leaving and thought you might need this," he replied. "Let's go home." Amara hesitated but nodded. They walked in silence at first, the rain pattering around them. His shoulder brushed hers lightly, and she couldn't ignore the comfort of having him near. "Ji-ho," she said quietly. "Thank you. For the pool party and now." He glanced at her. "You don't have to thank me. I just didn't want to see you hurt." She stopped walking and turned to face him. "Then why have you been avoiding me?" Ji-ho sighed, looking away. "Because it's hard for me. You're kind, strong. You make me want to be better, and I don't know if I can be." Amara's heart skipped, but she smiled gently. "You don't have to be perfect, Ji-ho. Just be honest." He looked at her, his gaze softening. Without a word, he shifted the umbrella closer to cover her and motioned for them to keep walking. 2 years in Seoul had flown by faster than Amara ever expected. The vibrant city had become her home, and the friendships she had built felt like they had always been a part of her life. But now, as her time in high school was ending, the thought of leaving filled her with dread. One evening, Amara sat with Hana at their favorite cafe, stirring her coffee absently. Hana noticed her friend's distracted look. "You've been quiet all day. What's on your mind?" Amara hesitated, then sighed. "My parents expect me to come back to Nigeria after graduation, but I don't want to go. I love it here. I want to stay." Hana's eyes lit up. "You're thinking about staying? That's amazing, Amara! Have you told your parents?" "Not yet," Amara admitted. "I'm planning to apply to a university here, but I don't know how they'll take it." Hana reached across the table and grabbed Amara's hand. "I'm proud of you for making this decision. You belong here, and you're not alone. You have me and—" She paused, giving Amara a knowing look. "You have Ji-ho." At the mention of his name, Amara's cheeks turned pink. "Ji-ho hasn't said anything about how he feels," she mumbled. "I don't even know if he'll care if I stay." Hana smirked. "Trust me, he cares." That evening, Amara found Ji-ho sitting in the living room. Sharing the same house made it easier to see him, but her heart still skipped a beat every time. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice steady despite the butterflies in her stomach. He nodded, stepping aside to let her in. They sat in the small living room, the air between them filled with unspoken words. "I've decided to stay in South Korea for university," Amara said, her heart pounding. "I'm not going back to Nigeria." Ji-ho's eyes widened, and for a moment he didn't speak. "You're staying?" he finally asked, his voice soft. "Yes," Amara said, watching his reaction closely. "I feel like this is where I belong, and I didn't want to leave without telling you." Ji-ho looked at her, something unreadable in his expression. Then, slowly, a smile spread across his face. "I'm glad. I didn't want you to leave either." Amara blinked, her heart skipping a beat. "You didn't?" "No," Ji-ho said, his voice low. "I've been afraid to say anything, but you mean a lot to me, Amara. I don't know what I'd do if you left." Amara's breath caught. "You mean a lot to me too," she whispered. Ji-ho Ho leaned closer, his hand gently holding hers. Then stay. We'll figure this out together. A warm smile broke across Amara's face, her heart racing with hope. Okay? She said softly, feeling the weight lift. Amara's following weeks brimmed with anticipation and transformation. Her parents, though wary at first, came around after a sincere talk where she shared her aspirations. Their blessing and support emboldened her to dive into this new phase. Hana marked the occasion with an extravagant dinner, filled with karaoke and emotional toasts. As months rolled by, Amara adapted to life as a university student, balancing coursework, a part-time job, and her ties with Ho and Hana. Ho kept his promise, remaining a steady presence, their connection deepening daily. One night, strolling along the Han River, Ho paused and faced her. "I'm so glad you stayed, Amara. You've transformed my life in countless ways." Amara's smile radiated warmth, her heart brimming. "And you've transformed mine." Beneath the shimmering city lights, they shared a tender embrace, hearts swelling with gratitude for the path that united them. Amara had arrived in South Korea uncertain of what lay ahead, but she discovered more than a place to live. She found love, friendship, and a future she eagerly welcomed.